In this episode, we are going to talk about habits and systems. They essentially mean the same thing, but there are different applications. One is typically for personal life, personal development. The other is for business. But first, new listeners, we have a 3-episode rule. If you are still listening to the podcast after 3 episodes, drop us a quick 5-star review, write us a blurb if you feel empowered to do so, inspired to do so. First 2 episodes, those are on us. Enjoy. Same deal, returning listeners, you already knew that. 3 episodes, leave a review. That is the only thing that we ask.
Shout out to Amanda who left a review recently this past week. Wow, good morning to both of us. Yep. She said, great content all around. This team shares such helpful and impactful content in the podcast, social media, and their app services. Following online and listening to the podcast is so great when you're trying to foster lasting lifestyle changes and helps to reinforce positive change. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that so much.
Nice. And listen, guys, that's, the reason we post on social. We're getting better with YouTube. We're working on it. We're consistent with these podcasts. We're giving you guys free resources. So there is no secret to our coaching sauce. We give you guys all of the tools that we use with our clients. The only difference is on one side, you have a coach working to implement those with you in a much more efficient manner. And then if you're just doing this, on your own, you're doing that trial and error period, which is something we're going to dive into today. But with that in mind, leave a review. If you're using these things, the first action step you can take if you're not even using these yet, leave a quick review. It takes 3 seconds to click a button. If you can't stop and do that, then we have to talk a little bit more about accountability. So it's just, a little good karma. We're putting this stuff out there. We would appreciate if you guys helped spread the word, be a part of the team, part of the community, part of the family. Allow us to reach more people. Someone needs to hear these things that's not currently hearing it. They're struggling. They want to figure out how to make this a lifestyle, how to create this lasting change. And you guys are a big part of that mission by sharing it and spreading that love. So with that in mind, we'll dive right into this concept here. So habits and systems, like I kind of alluded to, habits are what we do on a micro level, on a personal level, day-to-day basis for our personal development. And then systems, and this is something we don't really talk a lot about lately. It's been mostly the health and fitness side, but in regards to business, systems are the same protocol. These things are developed through trial and error. We learn what makes us feel best. We learn what our business responds best to, and we kind of just take note of that and repeat, and build upon those things till we have this full-blown process for ourselves, for our business, whatever it is. And I think that's something that a lot of people kind of take for granted. They look for the quote unquote heavier hitters. So what is the new diet? What is the best training plan? And they kind of overlook the almost obvious staring you at the face, hiding in plain sight answer of it's not the big thing. It's every single little thing. Every single decision you make throughout the day has a major impact. And that happens by developing quality habits.
And I think a lot of people, when they think about, oh, maybe I should hire a coach, they think that coaching is going to teach them the secret. And you kind of alluded to this already. They think that coaching is going to show them some life-changing thing where it can change your life. I'm not saying it's not going to change your life, but I'm saying that the answer is not just something that you haven't necessarily learned in the sense of like the secret sauce, the secret key to lasting change. Coaching gives you so many different perspectives and tools and conversations that you keep in your mind for the rest of your life that truly impact the decisions that you make on a daily basis. And also they impact like how you think about your training and nutrition. So I would argue that, if you're somebody who thinks coaching has all the answers and all these different things that you just don't know yet, that's not true. Most of our clients know what they need to do. Most of our clients come from this podcast. They come from the app. They come from taking in our content, and they have all of these answers that we do not gatekeep. It's just that they don't know how to implement them specifically for what they've got going on in their life. And they aren't really in a place to be objective with the implementation, if that makes sense.
And I think the biggest word, one of the most powerful words you can pull from that, it's insight. So again, being that there are no secrets and being that there are several things you probably are aware of, but may not be tracking consistently. You just think, I'm doing fine there. You're just overlooking it. The insight is providing the feedback of, okay, well, this really isn't as consistent as you thought that it was. And whether you're working with a coach or not, what I'm trying to say is you need to find that insight. You need to be consistent with all the little things. It's not just we hit our stride, we do very well, and then we scale back and then we fall back to where we were when we started, which is what most challenges and programs kind of end up at. That's the vicious cycle. It's this up and down roller coaster year after year. It's consistent sleep. It's consistent movement. It's consistent nutrition. It's consistent training. It's consistent mindset protocols, whether it's meditation, cold plunges, whatever it is.
I'm going to interrupt you because a lot of people think consistency means perfection, and it doesn't. Consistency is not giving. I don't want to say giving. Consistency is not being 100% on point with every aspect of every single thing that you're doing every single day forever. That is perfection. And I think a lot of people get those two things confused, even though when you just look at the words, we all know the difference between the two. But when it comes to our health and fitness, we get pulled into that all or nothing mindset, and we think that if it's not perfect, we're not being consistent. And at the other end of the spectrum there, you do have to, like you talk all the time about moderation and how a lot of people don't really understand what true moderation is for their goals. You do have to most of the time be doing things really, really well, but that doesn't mean you have to be hitting your macros down to the gram every single day and, hitting exactly 60 minutes of your training every single day. Like, the consistency comes from still showing up on the days where it's not super easy or ideal, and getting something in and choosing to make the right decision that still inches you closer to your goals.
So with that in mind, on the very first call, the prospecting calls, where people are just reaching out, trying to learn more about coaching and telling me about what they're struggling with, their goals are, I let people know one of the biggest parts of our process, or the biggest part of our process, is education. A huge component of that is understanding different layers. There are different levels to different protocols. So when we're working on specific goals like fat loss, we want to get to a specific point, we may be tracking calories on all macros. But let's say we have something coming up this weekend, or we're going on vacation. The intuitive approach is, hey, let's focus on these 3, 4, 5 things just so you continue feeling really good. So what can we focus on with nutrition? What can we focus on with training? What can we focus on for movement? That's not going to take away from vacation, but it's going to allow you to feel really, really good while you're away and just add value. It's going to make the vacation better. Those are the different layers, the different levels. So consistency, as to your point, isn't I'm always tracking every single day and I'm never missing a workout and I'm always doing that morning walk. It's, are you completing the objectives based on what makes sense for that day? So I'm always prioritizing these things, but there are different levels, different layers, like we just said. So am I checking one of these boxes based on what the day throws at me, based on what the week throws at me, based on what this phase of life throws at me? Are those things still a focus? Am I prioritizing them? Am I checking those minimal boxes, which they are most of the time?
And I think the big difference there too is you still feel really good when you check those boxes.
That's the point.
Even if it's not, your ideal of where you strive to be, it's still something, and you still finish the day in a great mindset, feeling really good about yourself. That is the point of this journey. That is the point of your health and fitness journey, is to feel good in your body, to have vitality and energy levels that are soaring, and overall knowing that you're making progress towards your health, even if it's not the same as what your favorite influencer is doing, or as your cousin is doing, whoever in your life that works out that you look up to. It's okay if it looks different. It's okay if it looks different than it looked a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago for you. I think that's another big one, is we tend to hold this idea of what our training and nutrition and our fitness in general should look like because we're holding on to a past version of ourselves. And a lot of the times when we're looking back at ourselves, we're looking through rose-colored glasses. So we're remembering the good parts of that phase of life and not remembering the struggles that we had to go through, or the things that we did have to give up to be there. Or maybe we just simply had more time. You did not have kids yet. You didn't have a spouse yet. You were fully focused on yourself. You had more flexibility with whatever that job was. You know, there's so many factors that go into what you can do when it comes to your health and fitness. So you have to understand that it has to fit in with this phase of life right now. And it's okay if it's not exactly the same as what got you results in the past, because there are a million different ways you can still see progress towards your goals.
And that is the philosophy, the reason behind the philosophy of the SDE method. Training, nutrition, mindset, movement, habits, those 5 pillars were created to take this from being this plan or this program where you're following it on a short-term mindset for short-term goals and turning it into a lifestyle. The point of those pillars is to let you know there is a blueprint you can follow. If I have a protocol and I have different levels of those each protocol, then I will always have a sustainable plan. And the point there is to make sure it's always adding value to your life. These things that you're doing aren't, let me struggle really hardcore for a short period of time to reach an aesthetic goal or performance goal. And then, who cares what happens after that? That's not what we do. That's not the goal of our business. And we tell people that, again, right on those calls, like, yeah, not a good fit. You can find somebody else. But if you're coming here for the longer picture, we still want to achieve short-term goals, but we want to do so in a way that makes the most sense. It's not a crash diet. So these are the things you should be applying on your own. If you're not working with us, there are no short-term measures that's going to make a lasting impact on your life. So when you're looking at a plan, does this make everything else that I'm doing in life better? Am I more productive? Am I happier? Am I a better spouse, a better father, whatever? Does this make me better at all these other things? Or does it take away? Am I pulling from these things in order to reach an extreme level of dedication and commitment for a short-term goal?
I want to hop in there because I feel like for some people who are, let's say they're starting their fitness journey now, and maybe their lifestyle looks totally different from what they want it to look like. I think it's normal at first to feel like it's taking away from your current lifestyle.
That's fair.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you want to change that lifestyle. It's not fair to think, oh, it's going to always look like this, or it's always going to feel like this. You don't want it to feel like that if you have specific goals to improve your healthy lifestyle.
If you're not happy, if you're struggling in all areas, it is going to be a total overhaul. If you're someone who just, I want to fine tune this, I know I can feel better, that's not going to be an overhaul. But if you're like, this sucks, I can't do this anymore, I can't live like this anymore, well, then everything's going to change because your entire life is feeding into that. Everything happens for a reason. And I know it can feel like a lot of outside factors are, pushing us in certain directions, which may be the case. But at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to make sure that we are putting ourselves in situations to thrive physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. Everything comes back to us. If you're making excuses for yourself, oh, well, this happened and that happened and this, you're never going to climb out of that. So it has to be a complete overhaul. If you are in that situation, you are totally miserable and you feel like garbage.
As an example, a lot of parents probably can relate to this. If you're starting a fitness journey, or maybe you want to start a fitness journey, it can feel like you're taking time away from your family to go work out. I've heard that before time and time again from a lot of my mom clients that I've had over the years, where they have these really big goals and they want to feel better and they hate how they feel right now. They're low energy. They're not confident in their bodies. They just do not feel good. You have to put yourself first. It gets to a point where if you do not put yourself first now, you are going to be forced to at some point, and nobody likes being forced to do anything. So if you choose now to take 3-4 hours for the whole week to focus on exercise for yourself, and even focus on, we'll even throw in meal prepping into that, because you can totally do all of that within 4 to 5 hours.
So what's that, 30 to 45 minutes each day?
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be every single day. But if you can devote just that small chunk of time to yourself, I guarantee it's going to feel like you're taking time away from your kids, especially if it's, if you're somebody who works a full-time job and you're doing this outside of work hours, and then you still have to pick the kids up from daycare and see them and all this stuff. Yeah, it's going to feel like you're taking time away from them now. But once you there's a point where you hit a curve, or a point where you get over that hump and you start to see the positive shifts that exercising and eating better for your body they start taking a toll on you in a positive way. And you're going to start to see when you are with your kids, you're more mindful. You have more energy to do what they want to do. It's not, oh, mom, come play outside with me on my playground. Oh, I'm too tired. I'm going to sit here. You go play. Like, you're going to have so much more energy to go do the things that you want to do with them. Go for hikes and walks with them. Show them various ways that they can move their body. So it really is just something that bleeds into your entire life, but you have to get over that hump first.
I want to jump in right there because I can already hear this in the background. It's like, oh, easier said than done. 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, right. Here's where I'm getting at. We have some clients who are not supported in the way that they should be. And obviously we are hearing things from one side, but it sounds to be a bit unreasonable. So step one, if you feel like, your spouse isn't going to let that fly, having that conversation, letting them know what you're doing, why you're doing it, why it's important to you, the things that you want to accomplish from this, and how it's going to make everything else better, and you'll have more to give. We've talked about this before. I'm not going to dive into this in depth, but when people make changes to become better, it makes others uncomfortable. So really having that conversation, laying it out, and just being upfront. Hey, I need 30 minutes when you get home from work. Just 30 minutes. I'll be in and out. I'll do what I got to do, and we're good. We'll keep rolling. If they're not supportive, that's just a red flag in and of itself. If they are putting you down for wanting to do these things, these are red flags. We are not relationship therapists, but maybe have that conversation.
You know what I would do in that instance?
The instance I'm thinking of, or just the one I'm outlining?
That what you said right there. Like if you told me, or if like I asked you, I needed 30 minutes, and you just were like not supportive of that. And if you've tried to have this conversation with your spouse over and over again, and it's just not getting anywhere because they can't see the bigger picture, make it about them. Make them understand that when you get this time for yourself, your relationship with them grows. And I don't think I have to go into super detail here, but when you're more confident in your body, when you feel really good about yourself.
You're talking about naked time.
I'm talking about naked time, but like as a husband and wife, or whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you are, that's probably something that they want. I would argue if they don't, then there's another red flag. If they cannot understand why you want to do it for you, make it about them. Tell them how it's going to improve your life with them in various ways. And again, if that's not working, then yeah, we're not relationship experts, but that's a major red flag.
I'll also say, like, if you have a reasonable spouse, it's just about being upfront and laying a clear line. I know something we have worked on or struggled with and improved upon is our communication. But just as far as when I take Cora, if it's random at random times, and then it's just, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you take her? And I have other things I have in my mind that I need to get done. That is annoying. So being like, hey, she gets up at this time. Can we make it just the standard? At this time, you take her. I can go do what I got to do. It's not a surprise every day. And this is what I'm saying. Like, if you throw this on your spouse randomly throughout the day, hey, can I have 30 minutes? It's probably not going to go well. But if you can create a schedule, hey, at this time or after this is done, can I have this period? Or can you help with this? That clear communication makes things much easier and a lot less stressful for everybody, especially if you're dealing with someone reasonable. So that's just a personal thing we have worked through this past week. This past week, but also that was something that we outlined very clearly when Kai was born, first kid. We would take shifts and we would split time that way. And I know having one kid is very different than having multiple, but multiple kids, multiple businesses, it grows. So you got to figure it out.
It's true. I mean, when you can communicate and explain what you need and kind of come up with a plan together, then the other person will probably be way more receptive and helpful about that. So,
and I don't want to make this a full business split on this, but I do want to apply it. So, business is a huge part of what we do as well. And systems are very similar to those habits. It's trial and error, figuring out what's going to work, and then scaling those systems. So this can be, if you guys don't run your own business, you're not an entrepreneur, this can even be for personal development. I want to learn a new language. What is the protocol for me to do that? Is it I do this lesson at this time, and then I'm following up with these resources, then listening to this podcast? We can't just do one thing for a long period of time and accept that the result isn't to the standard that we want it to be. We're not making the progress that we want to be making. So I'm going to do this. If this isn't working, I'm going to add this, or I'm going to take this back. I'm going to scale it. I'm going to refine it. I'm going to move this over here until we hit a stride. And we're like, oh, that was 2 weeks of really good progress in whatever it is that you're working on. Take note of all that. What exactly were you doing? Are you holding yourself accountable with that? One thing I flip-flop on a lot is hitting my stride. So I'll typically do like a checklist. I call it my King of the Jungle checklist. 5 things that I feel really good with. It's gone anywhere from, and I'm reading this off my board, it's been, meditate, read, cold shower, Italian lesson, mobility work, journal, lift, cardio, sauna, archery, golf. And I have things I call skill banks that I want to allocate a certain amount of time each week towards those things. And that's, just enough to get to the next level. It can be work related. So none of those were work related. Those are all essentially for me, my mental health, learning a new language, personal development. But I do things on the business side as well. And if I just write down 5 things in the morning, I need to get these 5 things done. I'm going to hold myself accountable to that. I was on my stories yesterday. I don't know when you're listening to this, but yesterday, my time, I am dealing with a sinus infection right now, a nasty sinus infection. If this is on YouTube, I don't know if we're on YouTube yet, and you see me moving my head around and pressing on my face, it's because I feel like I just got knocked the fuck out. But yeah, anyway, yesterday I was like, I'm going to the gym, our gym, just outside in the garage. I'm getting that workout in. I'm going to go for a run today. I'm doing 20 minutes. That's it. So I forced myself to the workout, felt pretty good halfway through it, felt a little shittier by the end of it. And then I realized it was probably a bad decision to go for a run, but I wrote it down, and I do not like leaving boxes unchecked. So I'm like, I'm not setting this precedent for not checking this box when I said I was going to do it. Had I not had that checkbox, it would have been a hard pass. There was 0% chance I was doing that run. Now, whether that would be good or bad, that's irrelevant for the point of this conversation. Because I wrote that down, and I was not going to disappoint myself, to let myself down, because I said I was going to do it. I was going to do it. If you're not working with a coach, you need some type of system like that. It can't just be, I'm going to try to do these things today. Try is a stupid word. Eliminate it.
You can't wing it. No, you really can't.
You need a plan, and you need to cement that plan, and there is a non-negotiable on that plan. I'll let you jump in a second. But when I say I was waffling, I was going flip-flopping on this. So I'll do that. I'll hit my stride. I'll be doing great for weeks at a time. Like, I don't need this list. I'm not going to write this shit. I'm just going to do what I got to do. And I don't. It is a light switch. I do not do the things. I'll go 2 out of 5. I'll go 3 out of 5. I'll go 1 out of 5. There's no accountability system. There's nothing that makes me feel bad about not doing it. So when I have that thing in place, when I have that accountability toward myself in place, the shit I get done is way more productive and efficient than when I say, these are the things I'm going to work towards doing today, and just letting the cards fall where they may.
You cannot manage what you don't measure. And it sounds so simple when you say it like that, but for example, a lot of people want to improve their sleep or want to improve their digestion. If you're not keeping tabs on what those 2 things look like on a day-to-day basis, how do you get better if you don't even know where your baseline is?
Not only what the baseline is, but how are you working to improve it? How consistent are you with those things? How are you measuring that?
So you have to measure it to know your baseline. You have to measure it to come up with a plan to figure out what consistent looks like for you and how to get to that next level. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we have our clients track the things that we do. And it's going to be different for every client. It's completely custom for every client. But, these things are important. These things matter when it comes to your overall health. And if you, I can't tell you how many times someone has DM'd me saying that they're struggling, whatever their issue is. They're struggling in some area. They haven't reached their goals yet. They feel like they're in a plateau. And I ask them what they're doing, and they can't even, they're not doing anything. They can't even tell me that they're following a program. They have no idea what their current sleep looks like. They have no idea what they're consuming as far as food. Oh, my diet's pretty good. I eat pretty clean throughout the week. That doesn't mean shit.
Those are just words coming out of your mouth. You have no idea what you're saying.
It does not mean anything. So if you're doing that, if you're somebody who is doing that, here's your tough love moment of the episode. You have to accurately look at what you're doing and keep tabs on it and manage it and figure out, okay, this is where I am now. Here's where I want to be. How do I get there? Come up with a plan to get there. Otherwise, you're just going to keep spinning your wheels and you're going to keep being frustrated that you're not making progress.
I'm going to relate this directly back to the business side again, because this is something that we have worked with our mentees on. This is a specific workshop I went through with them. So to that extent, what are you doing? For our coaches, Fit Coach Pro Academy, who are you serving? In one sentence, tell me what you do. Nobody could answer that question. And that's not to put anybody, it's a loaded question. But if you don't go into your business, if you don't go into your, personal goals with a clear vision of what you're looking to accomplish and how you're going to do that, you're not going to make the progress. That's step one. What do you do? SDE Evolution. We help busy parents, busy humans develop a health and wellness regimen that fits their lifestyle. We build it into their lifestyle. That's what we do. We can say that in one sentence. And there are obviously 1,000 intricacies that go into that, but that's who we help and that's what we do. So what are you trying to accomplish in your business, in your personal life? How are you measuring those things? Have you gone through the trial and error? And this...
Let's talk about trial and error for a second, because I think that's where a lot of people get blurred lines, because they either are stuck in that trial period for way too long, or they don't give them enough time. They don't give themselves enough time to actually see progress. Does that make sense? I feel like they're in either one end of the spectrum or the other.
Trial is, let me do this 3 times and see how I feel. And if it didn't work, then it was an error.
Yep.
When in actuality,
you just need
it's a minimum of 3 weeks. It's probably a month, really, at a minimum. And there's your trial. Did it work? No.
A month of doing it consistently. Not just, a month has passed. I did it 75% of the time. Nope. That's not it either.
I did that with intermittent fasting. There are things that I liked and I didn't like. I'm not currently doing it. I'll do one end of it. It's not really intermittent fasting. I guess you can call anything intermittent fasting. Ramble over. I learned that I feel really good when I stop eating 3 hours before bed, as most of us should be doing. Sleep was improved tremendously. You're digesting those nutrients the way they're supposed to be, rather than them sitting in your stomach all night when your body's trying to rest and recover. So do I continue that protocol? No, I eat when I wake up in the morning. A little after, I'll do my run, get Kai up, we'll take a family walk, and I'll eat. But I learned that when I go to bed on an actual empty stomach, I feel really good and I recover really well. And energy is tremendous. Mental clarity is so much better. So we won't always take the full protocol, but we'll learn things. When I eat these things, I feel really good. When I eat these things, I feel really bad. When I train this often or this hard or this many sets, I recover great, or I don't recover, or I hit PRs consistently or whatever. That's trial and error. Now, the benefit of working with a coach on the health and fitness side, working with a mentor on the business side, is you are working with someone who is already in the promised land. Like, they have already accomplished what it is that you're doing or that you want to do. They've done it. They've made the errors. They're going to help you shortcut that. And that's the biggest selling point. You're skipping all of that wasted time figuring out what doesn't work for you and working with a coach who has done that. So
they've done that for themselves and for a lot of other people, which is the key. We have done this
over 2,000 times with other people. On the one, that's not even including the app. It's many, many thousands if you're talking about the app. One-on-one coaching, we have done this, and our team has done this with over 2,000. I don't even know what the actual number is. We've been saying this for a while, but it's over 2,000 as of a long time ago. And here's a little caveat on the business side. And this is something I was thinking about the other day. Kind of funny. When you are looking, this can be for a coach, this can be for a mentor. When you are looking for that person, can you find anywhere that they had actually had that success that they claim they've had? Do they have raving reviews from people they've worked with? Are they currently doing it and you know they are the standard in the industry? And I'm alluding more towards the mentor side because I'm going somewhere with this. Or did they decide that what they were doing wasn't really working, so instead they're going to take the step back and coach you on how to do it instead? To me, it is a major red flag if you are working with a mentor who is no longer doing what they're coaching you to do. If they no longer, let's use Fit Coach Pro Academy as an example. All of us that are there mentoring our students, still run very successful health and fitness coaching businesses. There are several others who happen to be a lot bigger than we're brand new. We launched last year. There are some established mentorships who do a lot more volume than we do at this moment, who I'm not convinced they ever had success as health coaches, and B, they are no longer doing it. So where are they getting this advice from? Their mentor. They're using their mentor's script to sell their mentorship to you. So they're going to charge you an arm and a leg to get regurgitated information through an application that they were actually unable to apply themselves. So if you cannot find someone else's success story as to who they're mentoring, who's mentoring you, or there isn't a line of people down the road screaming, these guys are awesome, that ain't it. That ain't them. Coaching side, have they hit their goals? Do you look at that person and say, and I'm not talking about cover models and professional bodybuilders, have they been able to reach their goals, balance those goals with their busy lives, their busy lifestyles? Do they have the image? And this isn't superficial. I'm not saying that to be cover models. Does that person look healthy? Do I want to look like that person?
Do they live the lifestyle that
Do
I want
they
to
live the
live?
lifestyle I want to live? If that answer is no, how are they teaching you about it? They could be the smartest person in the world. How are they teaching you about something they can't do themselves? It's a red flag.
Mic drop.
I don't know if you could see that. I dropped my hand.
No, I think it's so important. And I know in today's world where everything is online, it can sometimes be hard to decipher like a good coach from a not so good coach too. And even if someone does have a lot of reviews, I don't know. I think
You got to do your homework.
it can easily be faked these days.
The bodybuilder doesn't mean the bodybuilder is a good coach either. That's not what I'm saying. You got to have the best of both worlds.
Right. So, are we ending there? We got more to say.
I think that was a good spot. So wrapping it up, habits and systems, you're developing your protocols. You have to be consistent. We identified what consistency actually means. It doesn't mean you're perfect 100% of the time. It means there are different layers you're always paying attention to, and those boxes are always getting checked. You develop your systems to scale your business. You scale your system to scale your business. So this worked, this didn't. Here's what we're going to roll with. Build this out. That's how we're going to grow our business. Same thing for personal development. Same thing for health and wellness. It's just being honest with ourselves, utilizing the insights, and applying those for the rest of our lives. Because if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not progressing, you're falling backwards. There really isn't much to say about maintenance. And I know that's a whole nother episode, but it has its purpose. So don't go throwing me to the wall on that one.
Maybe that'll be our next episode.
Maybe.
We shall see.